This is the story of a sponge's life. You can read along with me in your book. You'll know that it's time to turn the page when you hear this sound. Let's begin now. It was harvest time in the Nickelodeon Studios building, and all the Nicktoons were collecting large-sized foods for some special guests. Suddenly, a large rock fell onto the path that the line was traveling on. Fortunately, Larry the Lobster and his pal Pearl the Sperm Whale came over to help the line go around the rock. After a while, the line finally continued moving on. "Shouldn't we tell the Queen?" asked Pearl. "Not at all," replied Larry. "She's already training her students." "All right," replied Pearl. "Princess Sandy." Sandy was getting nervous about the guests arriving soon, but her teacher reassured her that she'll be fine. "Relax," said Mrs. Puff. "It's the same year after year. They come, they eat, they leave." On the other hand, Timmy Turner and Poof were picking on Sandy's new friend Twilight Sparkle, who had visited from another studio called Hasbro. Twilight had sick wings, so she couldn't fly until they weren't sick anymore. Twilight didn't like Sandy for bossing her around. "You're not the queen yet, Sandy," she said madly. "Twilight," said Mrs. Puff sternly, "be nice to your student. My student. Sandy for once." "It's not my fault she's so stressed out," Twilight then said. "Of course not," said Sandy. "I'm just a little nervous." Suddenly, a huge tree trunk fell right on Sandy. Larry, along with Pearl, her father, Crab, and Squidward the giant Pacific octopus, rushed over to help Sandy up. "I'm sorry," shouted a voice. It was SpongeBob. He had accidentally knocked the tree trunk over with his latest invention. "What are you doing?" asked Sandy. Me," replied SpongeBob. "I was just testing out my latest invention, a food harvester." "SpongeBob," shouted Sandy, "we don't have time for this nonsense." And after SpongeBob went on and on about his invention, Mr. Krabs, of course, walked up to him, told him, "Look, the princess doesn't have time for this. Now get rid of that machine." "Yeah," added Squidward. "But he was only trying to help," said SpongeBob sadly, and he walked away. As SpongeBob walked back to his homeroom to put his invention away, Twilight followed him there. "Wait up!" she cried. SpongeBob turned around and saw her. "Oh, hello there, little pony," he said. "What's your name?" he then asked. "My name is Twilight Sparkle," she said kindly. "Oh, okay then," replied poor SpongeBob. "But I don't think I would ever make a difference." "Me neither," said Twilight sadly. "My wings are too sick to fly right now." "Oh, cheer up, Twilight," said SpongeBob. "I'm pretty sure they'll feel better at some point." And so, SpongeBob gave Twilight a magic rock. "Take this," he said. "It'll help you feel a little better." "But you're not a failure," said Twilight sweetly. "I like your inventions, ideas." SpongeBob was amazed. "Really?" he asked. "Well, nobody here thinks that at all. You're actually the first. Well, actually, maybe second. Next to my pal Patrick. Of course." "You're weird," said Twilight in an honest way. "But I like you." With that, SpongeBob felt a little better. Suddenly, the alarm sounded. The guests had arrived. Panicking, the Nicktoons rushed as they put the food on the giant plate on top of the castle set. And all of them ran into a big hideout bunker. Except for SpongeBob, who unintentionally was left behind. SpongeBob ran over to the giant plate to put the food on it. He collected onto it, but tripped and accidentally bumped into the giant plate by accident, knocking over the food into the mist down below. No! Likely destroying the food. Oh no! SpongeBob said nervously. I have to tell Sandy about this! He cried as he ran for the hideout bunker. SpongeBob ran into the hideout bunker to tell Sandy about what had happened. But instead, the guests had mentioned that the food was gone. What did you do? Asked Sandy angrily to SpongeBob. It was an accident, said SpongeBob nervously. Suddenly, the guest angrily burst into the bunker. They were a gang of storm creatures. Their leader, Storm King, landed in front of the trembling Nicktoons. He was furious about the loss of his food. So where is it? He asked angrily. Where's my food? He shouted. Noticing Sandy nearby, Storm King falsely accused Sandy of losing the food. As he spoke to her about the way things were supposed to work, his assistant, Rubber, interrupted, which drove Storm King insane. But he still continued talking. Collect the food by the end of the year, he ordered. Then, he and the storm creatures ran away, leaving the other Nicktoons feeling furious at SpongeBob. He was taken to court. But before Sandy and the council could banish SpongeBob from the Nickelodeon studio, SpongeBob came up with an idea of finding characters from other studios to stop Storm King and his gang from taking over the studio building, in which the council automatically agreed, but secretly, to get rid of SpongeBob. Outside the studio, Twilight had been waiting, and when SpongeBob said bye to her, she kindly wished SpongeBob a good luck on his mission to find help, the help they needed, in order to stop the storm creatures. And so, SpongeBob took off and went to Hollywood, where there could be other characters that could be willing to fight the storm creatures off. Save Nickelodeon Studios. Meanwhile, in Hollywood, a cobepod named Plankton was putting on a circus. The circus performers were a saber-toothed tiger named Diego, a magician skeleton named Grim Reaper, his assistant Pearl, the humanoid Gem, a giant woolly mammoth named Manfred, a sloth named Sid, a clown starfish named Patrick, a humanoid mole named Eileen, and a pair of possum twins named Crash and Eddie. It was a great show, even though the audience didn't like it so much. So that night, Plankton fired his crew, shut down the circus. With that, the heartbroken troupe went to the bar to cheer themselves up. There, SpongeBob just so happened to be there, looking for help to save Nickelodeon Studios. Not only that, but two rhinos that Diego argued with at the circus were there too, along with a big beast named Tariq. So, Diego, Sid, and Patrick decided to put on a Robin Hood act. Basically, to scare away the two rhinos and Tariq. As they did so, SpongeBob thought they were warriors. And after the big brawl, SpongeBob yelled out, "You're perfect!" Noticing SpongeBob nearby, Pearl the Gem thought SpongeBob was a talent scout. So did the other circus members. Patrick recognized SpongeBob and told the other circus members about how he knew SpongeBob all that time. But there was no time. The rhinos and Tariq were still looking for them. "We'll take the job," announced Sid, as the circus crew followed SpongeBob out of the bar. As they rode into the horizon, SpongeBob explained the details on the way back. Hold on! After a few hours, SpongeBob and the circus members finally arrived at the Nickelodeon Studios building. "Hey, everybody!" cried SpongeBob. "I'm back!" Twilight rushed over happily to SpongeBob and hugged him sweetly. And the Nicktoons saw the circus members as well. But SpongeBob unintentionally lied to them. about the circus members being warriors, but the Nicktoons believed it anyway. However, Sandy was the only one who was not excited about them, because she and the Nicktoons did not fight storm creatures. "They don't, but they will," said Mr. Krabs. After that, Diego made a speech. "We are gonna knock them dead!" With that, the Nicktoons cheered anyway. "I'm excited," said the sloth excitedly. Later on, inside the studio, the Nicktoons celebrated a hero's welcome to the circus members, thinking that they were professional warriors. And when Twilight and the younger Nicktoons presented a drawing of the circus members fighting the storm creatures away, the circus members became shocked due to realizing what they were supposed to be, warriors. And so, Eileen decided to tell SpongeBob about their true identities. "SpongeBob," whispered Eileen, "where's the circus?" "There's no circus around here," whispered SpongeBob. "Wait, what?" he then asked in disbelief. Finally, realizing that the circus members he had hired were actually circus performers, SpongeBob got nervous and decided to talk to the circus members in private, where nobody could hear them. "Circus performers!" shouted SpongeBob in disbelief. "How can you be circus performers?" The circus members were very mad at SpongeBob for asking them that. "Hey!" shouted Diego. "You said nothing about killing storm creatures, pal. You lied to us." "Yeah!" agreed Patrick. "Are you serious right now?" shouted SpongeBob. "Do you know what this is?" he then asked. "This, my friends, is false advertising." Grim Reaper then angrily walked up to SpongeBob. "How dare you!" he shouted angrily. "You, sir, lied to us about being a talent scout and tricked us all this whole time, so bye." SpongeBob tried to catch up with them. "Wait," cried SpongeBob. "You cannot go. You have got to help me." "Just go tell the truth," suggested Patrick. "No," said SpongeBob. "I can't. They'll banish me if I do so." Suddenly, SpongeBob heard Sandy's voice outside his door. "What exactly is going on here?" she asked suspiciously. "Nothing," said SpongeBob. "We're just having a little talk about getting ready for the battle," SpongeBob falsely explained. But he noticed that the circus members were sneaking off toward a big dinosaur nest that just so happened to be nearby. "Wait!" cried SpongeBob. "Don't go near there! It's a dinosaur nest!" But it was already too late. A T-Rex was coming. So SpongeBob took off, running away. "Boy," said Patrick. "He runs fast for a little sea sponge." But then, a T-Rex appeared behind them. So, the circus members made a run for it. As the T-Rex chased after them, Twilight was nearby in a tree checking out her friend SpongeBob to see what he was doing. Noticing the T-Rex running, Twilight jumped out of the tree and joined the others. And so, all the characters ran away from the T-Rex in a wild goose chase, through obstacles, struggles, until they escaped. Later on, Diego was brought to the Nickelodeon hospital, where he was resting in a bed for safety. There, Twilight and her pony friends from Hasbro came over to congratulate Diego and the others for escaping the dinosaur from before. After the ponies hugged Diego with their unconditional love, Sandy asked SpongeBob to talk with her, just for a few minutes. "Oh, sure." During their talk, Sandy apologized to SpongeBob for not being nice to him as much as Twilight was to SpongeBob, and even suggested SpongeBob to be her assistant aide to the warrior characters, and even mentioned that Storm Crane is afraid of dinosaurs. Say it again. Which gave SpongeBob an idea. They could build a machine dinosaur that could scare the storm creatures away for good. And so, all the Nicktoons and characters worked together to build the dinosaur. Once it was finished, it was a huge success!